This is Tom Meyer, Superintendent, Bellevue Community School District in Bellevue, Iowa, coming to you with this week's Believe in the Blue update. And this week I have a summary of our board meeting. It's also on our website and also on social media. It's the Comet highlights that way. Want to let you know of a few things. We have a middle school, high school choir concert tonight here at school. I'll get into some spectator things with that. Then we also have a middle school, high school band concert on Monday night. We do have limited seating for that. Then we also have basketball games over the weekend. On the seating, that has changed. It's a continuous changing aspect that way. In the past, it was only 2 spectators per participant, and now that has changed to 2 spectators per participant plus anyone who lives in their household that way. There's some information online about that on our main site, on the front page of the website at www.bellevue.k12.ia.us. That will explain some things there. So anyone in your household, you get 2 tickets. That's maybe mom and dad, and then anyone in the household who lives there, younger siblings, things like that, that way can come to the game as well. You all have to sit together, whether that's the game, the concert, whatever it may be. So just so you recognize that, that is something that has changed in the last 24 hours and actually in about the last 5 hours, in all honesty that way. So some things at the board meeting I want to let you know about. We did talk about approved a process to refinance our bonds. We will go from an interest rate between 4 and 4.7, changing over the next 10 years or so, down to a rate of probably between 1.3 and 1.8%. That will save the district about $328,000, which is good. We're also going to have a revenue purpose statement on the ballot. This is not a tax. It's not a new tax. It's not a continuation of a tax. It only gives us permission to spend the saved funds that we return from the 1 cent money in the state. They can be used, and this has to be done based on some legislative action about 1.5 years ago, where ours expires in 2031. They extended it out to 2051. That's it seems like quite a ways away there. I'll be 80 some years old at that time. So anyway, I gave away my age there, but just so you kind of recognize this is for the future. It can be used for information technology. It can be used to redo buildings, renovate buildings, build new buildings. It can be used for classroom areas that way, transportation, public recreation spaces, playgrounds, on down the line. There's a lot of different things along with property tax relief it can be used for. So that will be on the ballot on March 2nd. It's a simple yes or no. It is not costing anyone anything. And I just want to emphasize that it's not costing you one thing, but we have to have it approved to spend that money in the near future or in the semi-near future. COVID-19 impact that way. Our numbers in the district for both students and staff who have tested positive for COVID-19 and for being in quarantine are down significantly. From having about 1/3 of our staff out in both buildings, we're down to now just single fingers, 1 or 2 fingers. And that's basically coming down to not even COVID things, just some other things. We do still have a little bit of COVID activity in our district, but that is a number that is less than 6, which is a state guideline not to share that when it's beyond that or below that. So just so you know, we had today the rate was 15.6% when I last looked about a couple hours ago. Positivity rate, we remember we were at one point at 32.4, 27.5%. So we have went down significantly there, which is a very good thing. Quarantine, they changed the 14-day, and we followed the Iowa Department of Public Health and Jackson County Department of Public Health to the 14-day where people can come back. We've changed that to the 7 and 10 or after the 7 and 10. So day 8 and day 11. Day 8 can come back if they get a test after day 5 and it comes back negative, or they come back regardless after day 10, or they can stay out for 14 days. Extracurricular activities are still a 14-day out of school, and there's some information on the website about that. The district also approved a career and technical center commitment of up to 5 students that way to attend courses for college credit programming, maybe welding, it could be childcare, it could be the healthcare academies, I should say. We're at, and that's going to be whether that's Maquoketa, at Clinton, or in DeWitt. That way, our closest spot is obviously Maquoketa. We did approve up to 5 people for that way, a commitment. There's some information online you'll see about that. Also, we are still involved in the welding academy that's in Maquoketa. That's something we've been doing. We will continue that, and that's part of the 5. And then we will be starting an education academy in our own district for next school year. That way, so that's a positive here. Try to get people involved in education. I will be teaching some of that along with some other staff members that way who are qualified. Based on degrees and things. We approved some early graduation, 5 students: Emma Daniel, Caitlin Heyer, Kylie Putman, Jordan Wenzel, and Austin Holgrafer. We also approved a supplemental amount for dropout prevention, which is the only thing that is for us. It's really spending authority of $154,000. We had a student teaching agreement with Loris we approved. And also we talked about school versus learning. You know, we can learn something or we can go to school. So I think it's a tricky combination between the two. You know, school promotes starting by looking for answers. Learning promotes starting with questions. It's learning is about, school is about consuming information. Learning is about creating it. And I could go on down the line, but we need to look at our personal interests that way when we look at kids and what are they interested in? How can we relate the material to that? And then really looking to change in what we're doing. This is an ongoing thing, not a new thing by any means, just trying to get better at it. Information items, talk about extracurricular activities and the spectators that way. Some proclamations from the governor, also watching games online at NFHS. Graduation update. Remember, this is a little different this year. It's Saturday, May 29th. Instead of that 8:00 p.m. graduation, we're having a 4:00 p.m. graduation. We decided that in March, right before the pandemic stuck. So everything else was going on and kind of, we got that information out, but didn't make it a big deal, and want to make sure people are aware that Saturday, May 29th at 4:00. We will likely not be going to school, having virtual school when we have a weather such as snow, a snow cancellation for school that way, just so you recognize that. And the economic outlook, I just want to share real briefly. The Revenue Estimating Committee in the state of Iowa came out last week, and that's what they based a budget on for this upcoming legislative session in the state of Iowa starting in January. There was a little bit of growth they saw there, but they are very leery on the overall economic outlook, not for sure what's going to happen. And I think I respect them for not knowing what's going to happen. No one knows what's going to happen. Let's be honest here. They do think the vaccine distribution is a positive, but they're also, it's most difficult to predict how consumer spending habits and work will evolve in the next year. So on that note, everyone have a great one. We'll go from there. If you have questions, please contact the school. Have a good one.